Alright, today we're going to be talking about Stasis because Bungie is in the middle of their various subclass reveals for the new class. And we have the Warlock that went first, and then the Titan, and then the Hunter will be next week. I don't know why there's more of a gap in between Titan and Hunter, but maybe it has something to do with Reset next week because it's happening on Tuesday, probably about an hour before Reset. So far, we've already seen the subclasses shown off in various trailers and stuff, so we kind of have some rough idea of what they're like. But the most important thing they've debuted is the arrival of the new redesigned subclass system in terms of how it relates to Stasis, where they're not doing the Destiny 1 system with all the little nodes that you pick between and like the big kind of checkerboard of options, and they're not sticking with the trees of Destiny 2 and just throwing all those perks in a big pool that you pick from like Destiny 1. They're making something entirely new, which is very cool to see, and from the looks of it, going to be very creative. It's kind of a new mod system in terms of how it relates to subclasses, where we will unlock, find, loot, whatever aspects for each class, which have like kind of an intrinsic special power relating to one of your specific class abilities, and then fragments, which are shared across classes that further modify aspects. So the example they gave, which is probably the coolest one, is Warlocks getting an aspect that lets their Rift do an AoE freeze, which we've seen in some of the trailers, of enemies around you. And then a fragment that would modify that would be the ability to shatter enemies and get class energy back. So it creates this little internal combo there that has nothing to do with guns or armor or anything. You just have these two kind of mods attached to your subclass, and suddenly you have a new combo that is pretty much like something an exotic would do otherwise. So, and that's just one example. Like, we don't know how many of these we'll be able to have. It seems like a good amount, and the combinations for these are probably going to be endless. The Titan one is about killing frozen enemies and getting melee energy back from that, or spawning a shard that gives melee energy. And then a fragment that modifies abilities to increase slows and increase like kind of duration effects. And that seems like something that might be able to be applied to later subclasses, like burning effects and stuff. I've already seen people like starting to build craft, even though there's only been 4 or 5 of these revealed. I saw Chevy trying to make a hunter build where he's assuming that there's going to be some sort of like slow on dodge move with aspects and fragments, and then you do 6 coyote and 100 mobility, and all of a sudden everything's just frozen around you. So it's very cool that even in this limited debut here, people are already kind of getting ideas in their heads about the potential this could unlock. The one downside of this that I am not wild about is that it's going to take an indefinite amount of time for this to expand beyond Stasis. It appears that this is only going to be working for the Stasis subclass right now and will not apply to the existing kind of 3-tier trees of Arc, Solar, and Void. And those will have to be rolled out over time. I understand it. Like, Bungie's already delayed beyond like 2.5 months working from home, trying to get that expansion out and try to put Stasis in there. So I don't want it further delayed just so they can do the other subclasses. And yet it's going to create a pretty weird situation where like everyone's just going to flock to Stasis. I mean, they probably would have anyway, but it's going to be this hugely customizable class with a totally new system and all this stuff. And then the other subclasses are going to feel kind of left out in the cold a little bit, and just, I'm sure they'll have their uses, but it's kind of like, year 1 weapons versus year 2 weapons, where no random rolls and like no mods and stuff like that, and yet they still exist alongside each other, which is kind of awkward. So I don't know how long it's going to take. In a perfect world, I think it would be cool to roll out one new big subclass overhaul a season. Like next season they have Solar, and then the season after that is Void. I do not know if this is going to be like a year-long project and they're just going to debut them all at the same time, maybe during next year's expansion, which would be a very long time to wait, and to have Stasis be the only customizable subclass for that long. Regardless, I think this is all moving in the right direction, and it's probably the biggest single change to the game in terms of how it works as an ARPG or an MMO that they've had possibly ever. Like, I can't really think of another thing that they have added that has this level of potential detail. And I'm very excited to see more of these fragments and aspects. It sounds like there's going to be a good amount of them. I'm looking forward to hearing how you loot them and if those are kind of going to be sought after drops like we're seeing with certain higher end mods now. But it sounds very cool. I think they have really landed on something here, and I'm looking forward to seeing a full list of these and imagining all the possibilities you can do with them. We will probably get at least 2 or 3 more when the Hunter debut happens next Tuesday at Reset, and we'll see what happens then. After that, we have a very long 2 months or so until Beyond Light hits, barring any further delays, which God, I hope not. And I'll talk a little bit more about what I think is going to happen. There might be some new stuff to talk about at Reset next week in terms of the ongoing seasonal stuff, because otherwise there was literally nothing listed in September as going on in Destiny 2 on the roadmap. So we're sort of in uncharted territory there. But for now, the new subclass system looks very cool. Can't wait to see more of it. Can't wait to see it applied to all the subclasses, even if I don't know how long that's going to take. But yeah, that's all for now. I'm about to leave for a couple of days, so no videos till then. I may be doing an Avengers video and breaking out of Destiny here to a different looter. It's weird. Only Black Widow really shoots things and Iron Man, but it's an interesting game. It's fun. I am not sure how it's going to compare to Destiny over the long term, but I think it's worth discussing all the same. And it's my YouTube channel. I can break the mold if I want to every so often. So check back for that probably sometime next week, because I do not have time to record it now. And I'm still kind of working my way fully into the end game, and I'll have more thoughts then. But yep, thanks for watching. Like, follow, subscribe, all that stuff, and I'll see you next time.